Welcome everyone to another episode here at Doctors of Podiatry. When we talk about saving limbs, saving lives, we have a young gentleman who has presented here today with a callus on the distal tip of the toe. I'd like to show, come around behind me, I'd like to show the good foot first. Okay, when we look at the, from this side please. Okay, so everything looks fine, right? The second toe. We look at the parabola, everything looks good, a couple little hammer toes, but aside from that, everything's okay here. Let's go to the other side. Okay, so let's look at this one now. Clearly everyone sees a very big difference in between the length of the second toe in comparison to the left one. This is the right, the left is the other one. He has a Morton's type foot where the toe is just extremely long, aside from the fact that not only is it longer, I would say it's a good centimeter, maybe 1.57, maybe even 2 centimeters longer than the other one. I'm sorry?
I don't have bone.
Right, you had previous surgery there. So the other one, I've said it before, they're usually the same. He had previous surgery on the left, okay? Probably as a result of a previous...
gangrene.
Okay, so you guys heard it yourself. He had gangrene here, and luckily, whoever and whenever this happened, they did a great job, right? So they were able to contain it, and that's fantastic. Just like the left, he has a problem with the right. He's presented today. Now I want you to come. The problem is that he's got this callus that I'm actually removing, right? And I've actually removed that there was an abscess underneath. Obviously you guys can't smell through the phone, but there is malodor, there is a drainage, and if everyone can see here right in the middle, there's an ulcer there. Okay, the nail, right, that we're actually removing was actually overgrown this way, so there was a little bit of drainage, and what we're doing here now is just very carefully just removing all of this nail, right, so we can actually see the ulcer, right, just kind of like that. We're not cutting the skin, we're only cutting the nail just to expose. A lot of the time, sometimes these nails, you know, they're so thick and big that no one, and aside from the fact, when were you last here?
I was here, what? 2 months. 2 months.
2 months, and in 2 months, something like this can happen, because obviously 2 months ago, this wasn't here. So something must have happened in the interim, and you know, 2 months is not a very long time. If you want to come around to this side so everyone can actually see, come through the front. No, okay. So we're just gonna go ahead and right. So then we can actually expose all of this devitalized tissue. Right. So now we can really appreciate what the patient really has, right? We're just gonna kind of leave it like that for now. So, you know, what are we looking at here? We have a tiny little ulcer. There was an abscess there. It was drained a little bit, and this is how it starts. This is exactly how it starts. Problem is that because of the length of the toe, two things are happening. I already spoke to the patient. There's either number one, there's jamming of the toe against the front part of the shoe. He said that sort of maybe. Option number two, that he did buy a shoe larger in size, but the problem, just like I've told everyone in the past, when we do the toe shortening procedures for aesthetic purposes, the second scenario is that the patient historically buys a shoe a little bit larger, and then what happens to the foot? It starts to actually slide inside the shoe, and the same effect is produced at the end, whether it's the correct size or not. There's still jamming, there's still micro trauma. In his particular case, you know, he's a very brittle diabetic. Brittle, I say that very carefully. His diabetes is still very, you know, it could be a lot better. We'll just leave it at that. And that's part of the problem. You know, his blood supply is good. good in the world of diabetes, whatever that means. I can feel his pulses, which is great because in order to heal this, you need blood. Without blood, there's no healing. So, you know, our main concern right now, we're going to go ahead and recommend some local wound care. We're going to recommend a special shoe to make sure that nothing, you know, hits that tip of the toe, let this heal. And then maybe in the near future, we can talk about once he has his diabetes under control and once he has everything else under control, then we can maybe talk about a little procedure to either shorten the toe a little bit or also release a ligament, right? Because he's actually walking like this, right? Let me move these toes out of the way. He's walking on the tip of the toe, right? So he's walking like this, right? I'm exaggerating, but it's basically he's walking on the tip of the toe, and walking on the tip of the toe, to a person like myself or you guys out there, it would cause a lot of pain. He's got peripheral neuropathy. Totally does not feel anything. We can take a needle, we can take a blade, we can, you know, create trauma. He will not feel anything. People are wondering, how could that be? Because it can. That's why I've always said it, and I will continue to say it, diabetes is a cancer. It's a type of cancer. It's all downhill, right? Diabetes. You're diagnosed with diabetes. You can never go, it's never going to get better, right? You can either control your diabetes for the rest of your life, or you kind of go like this, or like this, or in a lot of people, it's just like this. And that really depends and ultimately falls on the patient. You know, what type of life do you want to live? And I continue to say it, diabetes is a cancer. It's a type of cancer. Not the cancer that you and I both know of, but it is. And this is where prevention is the key. This is when we educate the patients. This is a problem. He's been extremely lucky. He almost lost a second toe on the left. He's got his leg. He's 50 years old. I'm 41. He lost a kidney already. Think about that for a second. He already lost a kidney because of his diabetes. Dialysis?
For 7 years.
And now?
I got a kidney transplanted August of last year.
So his kidneys, he went into renal failure because of his diabetes. His diabetes is essentially eating up all his organs inside, basically. Now it's up to him to control his blood sugars to enjoy the rest of his life. Hopefully a very long one. Here at Jaws Podiatry, we speak the truth. We're very transparent, even in front of patients. We treat all of our patients like this, like family. But if he was my brother, that's exactly what I would say. Thank you for watching.